Alright, so I gotta do this just real quick because I'm just really frustrated with this whole debate over this issue. And I don't know if you can see it. There we go. Alright, you see the moon in focus there? Alright, that's the moon, right? Okay? So y'all can see the moon there. Alright. Now, if you notice, the shadow of the moon is at it's slanted, you know, top left to bottom right, okay? And it's about a half moon right now, okay? So we got a half a moon where the top right side is lit up and the bottom left side is dark, okay? Now, I'm gonna zoom back out here, okay? So you got the moon over there. I'm just gonna move over here to our sun, all right? Now, here is the sun, all right? Now, the sun is clearly out. It is currently 1:50 in the middle of the day, basically. It's 1:50 daytime. There's the sun shining nice and bright, okay? Way up high in the sky. And there again is the moon. All right. And that moon, guys, once again, it is supposedly that the shadow on the moon, the dark side at the bottom left, is a shadow from the earth, that the earth is casting that shadow. It's the earth's fault that that half of the moon is not lit up. Would anybody like to please explain to me why the sun is in the sky right now? The sun's fully in the sky, okay? And yet there is a shadow supposedly being cast from the earth on that moon. There it is over there, that little dot in the sky, little half dot. And then here you go, the sun, right there. All right? It makes absolutely no sense how the earth is casting a shadow on the moon right now, how it's the quote-unquote dark side of the moon, and how obviously the dark side of the moon is the back side if it really is a ball, a full ball hovering up there. The dark side's the back side, but then that still makes you question, why is the front side currently only partially lit up? Now the cool thing is you can do this experiment for yourself. You can go out every day from full moon all the way to crescent moon during those particular months where the moon and the sun are out in the sky during the same month, okay? Now you can watch throughout the entirety of that month the sun in the sky and the moon in the sky. And you can see very clearly that it is obviously not the earth casting a shadow on the moon or blocking off the light that the moon is reflecting from the sun. It is not the earth doing that, because otherwise you wouldn't have the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time and still get to see the moon go from crescent to full and then full back to crescent, okay, and so on and so forth in that month-long period. You wouldn't get to see that transition without the obvious, you know, the sun is no longer in the sky completely when you have a crescent moon or a half moon. The sun should be setting, okay? It should already be down behind the earth, supposedly, if it's actually causing, if the earth is supposedly causing the shadow on the moon. So just use your own brains, people. Don't accept what you've been told your whole life, okay? Use your eyes, pay attention, use your brain to think and analyze, okay, what you are observing. Think about and analyze what you are observing. And, yeah, your own brain will clearly tell you that if the sun really is shining on the moon and its light is what the moon is lit up because the sun's light is reflecting off of the moon, then it should be very obvious to you that the moon is not half lit up, that the sun's light that's reflecting off the moon is not just reflecting off the moon during the full moon, but, you know, during those times where it's half moon and a crescent moon. Let's say the sun's light is still the thing reflecting, you know, off of the moon. What is actually causing the shadow on the moon? What is it that is creating the dark side of the moon, the non-lit up part of the moon? Okay, you have to ask yourself that. The other thing you got to ask yourself is, how come I see blue sky behind the moon? Why during the day do I see blue sky behind the moon? The dark side of the moon is just clear. It's just see-through, and the only thing you see behind, it's not like you see this, you know, dark side of the moon where, oh, there's an obvious, you know, full round ball there, and the dark side is blocking off, you know, the blue sky behind it. No, not at all. Even at night, it's not like there's the dark side of the moon blocking off the night behind it and blocking out stars. You can see stars through that darkened out section of the moon when the stars are when it's passing the star. You'll see the star go behind the moon, and then it'll appear on the blacked out, you know, on the darkened section of the moon. The crescent part that's lit up might make a star disappear for a slight crescent sliver, but then you'll see right through the middle of where the quote-unquote round ball moon should be, you'll see the star sitting right there in the dead center of where a ball should be, blocking you from seeing that star. You can go out and observe these things yourself, okay? Whatever is causing the shadow on the moon, it's not the Earth. It is not our shadow being cast out onto the moon because the sun's on the other side and the moon's on this side, and yeah, no. It's not that. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I can tell you what it is not from observation and from the laws of light and angular projection and the basic, you know, geometry and basic math that I've learned. Because here's the thing about math. Math doesn't lie unless you fib the numbers, okay? Intentionally fib the numbers from the beginning. But if you have the actual basic foundation of the mathematical laws, when you are talking like, you know, for visual light being cast onto another object and the mathematical laws that apply to that, the mathematical laws determine that it is not the Earth casting the shadow on the moon. So guys, use your brains, observe, and question everything. Because there's a moon and a sun in the sky at the same time, and half the moon is dark, and yet the sun is way too high up in the sky for it to be the Earth's shadow casting darkness on that side of the moon. And so, yeah. Anyway, I hope y'all use your brains. I hope y'all like to think about these kinds of things, because I do all the time. I am always questioning everything that I've ever been taught and told from the time of my childhood. I'm not saying that the Earth is flat, but I am questioning whether or not we actually revolve around the sun. I still believe, like in the old model of the Earth, that the sun and the moon revolve around us. I don't believe we revolve around the sun and the moon revolves around us. I believe both the sun and the moon revolve around the Earth, and that the Earth is the dead center of the universe. In fact, there's a lot of science coming out that measures what's called universal background radiation and universal background radio noise, or radio frequency, and all that, whatever you call it, all that stuff. I can't remember the exact term for it, but I know it does measure the background radiation as well as some other radio frequency noise that's happening. And according to all of that information, the Earth is the center of the universe. That all radiation from all stars in any and every direction is all hitting us as the center. Like, it gets to us simultaneously, whether we look out to the east or the west or the north or the south or you know, I mean, on the ball there's no really north, south, east, west, but you know, point being that no matter which direction we look in, all the noise is coming directly to us at the center and then continuing outward in the opposite direction, or in the continued direction the other way. So if it's coming from over here, it's going to over there, And if it's coming from over there, it's going to over here, and it's all going through us at the center. So that's another concept that you guys might want to look into and think about. Anyway, point being, I still believe the Earth is the center of the universe, despite what we are taught in school, and I can use my own two eyes and my own God-given, intellectually stimulated and critically thinking brain to analyze what I see. And what I see tells me that it is in no way, shape, or form possible that the Earth is casting a shadow on the moon. Period. Dot. End of story. No amount of teaching from professors or physicists or all these guys with degrees and, you know, the smart guys can ever convince me that my own two eyes are lying to me to that degree, okay? And that my own brain is that deceived to that degree. That my brain can't, deceived to the point where my brain can't analyze what my eyes are seeing. That's a level of deception. Most people, they're deceived about something they've never truly sat down and critically thought about and observed and analyzed. And they're deceived because they've been told something that they've never taken the time to go study and observe for themselves, and they've accepted what they've been told, and that's how they were deceived. Which I was deceived, because I never used my own two eyes and let my brain critically think about what my eyes were seeing. So I was deceived to believe that the shadow of the moon was created by the ball of the Earth blocking off the light of the sun. I no longer believe that because I am no longer deceived. I have awoken to the very simple mathematical and observational fact that the shadow of the moon is created by something completely different. And it could be a self-luminescent body, and it might not even be reflecting the light of the sun. It could be illuminating itself based on the angle of the sun. It could be choosing to try and project its light, like it not consciously trying in that sense of the word try, but the light could be luminescent, self-luminescent from within the moon, to where the moon is projecting its own light from within itself outward toward the sun because of some electromagnetic frequency that the sun is producing that causes the moon to try and shoot its light at the sun. And so the light all focuses to that direction of the moon, and that's what creates that. But then again, that would mean that throughout the day, depending on the angle of the sun, that the moon then in one day would most likely be shifting its, from crescent to full throughout the day. I mean, here's the thing. It's not the Earth, but it is something causing the shadow on the moon. And what that is, well, science has not told us. I can't tell you, but science has certainly not told you either. So anyway, I know that was very repetitive. I wanted to get it out in every layman perspective and layman terminology possible, explain it as clear as possible, give you the perspectives that I have to the clearest degree I possibly can. And I want you guys to observe, to think, to use your God-given minds, because you are made in the image of God. You are beautifully and wonderfully made for just ingenious thought and deep thought and loving thought and I mean all the thoughts that are occurring in your head that are negative and that are self-sabotaging and that are depraved and that are self-doubting and that are questioning and all that stuff. All of those can be answered with faith. You put your faith into what God has given you and what God has provided you, and into the God who gave it to you and provided it to you. And when you do that, you will find answers, or at least you will find the contradictions, and you will at least find the what it is not to what you've been told by people who want to deceive you and mislead you. So I know what it is not. And I don't know what it is yet, but I am still humbly searching. I am hungry and humbly questioning. And so, yeah, I believe you guys should do the same. Because that is a beautiful moon. That is a beautiful sun. And there's no way that the Earth is stuck in between them right now, creating a shadow. It's just not happening. So, love you guys. Bless you guys. Look forward to seeing and reading your comments, because I will read all comments. to any of my videos that I upload. And so, yeah, be blessed and be well. Peace, and hallelujah, hallelujah for making this beautiful existence that we get to participate in and share in, and and glorify Him for creating and gifting to us. He created it to give it to us so that He could be glorified for giving it to us. Just like when we give a gift, we want people to recognize that it's us who gave it to them, right? We don't want them to be like, oh, cool, I got this amazing gift from Santa Claus, some figment of my imagination. No, we want it to be like, look, I am giving this to you because I love you. You know, we want the recognition for it, and whether we get that recognition or not, we still are going to choose to hopefully love that person. But simultaneously, it's really a blessing to receive the recognition where recognition is due. So don't ever doubt that God feels the same way, because He's a relational, loving being who does these things for us, we should be glorifying Him for it and recognizing Him for it. So remember that too. I know it's not a popular opinion, but it's not really much of an opinion either. The fact is that ain't a shadow from the earth, and the fact is something intelligent designed all of this as a gift for you. So that's a fact, and there's no amount of science that you can use to deny that. You can't prove it per se with science, but you can prove it with logic, because all logic points to a conscious, creative force that created consciously this existence, consciously created this existence, you know. And, you know, when you see a piece of art, you want to acknowledge the artist. You don't be like, oh, that is a beautiful piece of art that created itself. What? No, art doesn't create itself. An artist creates art. You don't sit there and try to have a relationship with the piece of art that you're staring at and admire it to the degree where you are now worshiping the art, rather than, you know, acknowledging and loving and showing respect to the artist for creating the art that you so admire. It is always about the artist, guys. It's never about the actual art in the end. In the end, it is about the artist that made it, and we are living art, and everything around us is art. It's beautiful. So enjoy the beauty of God's creation, for you are part of it. Love you guys.